Storm Win here. Today we'll be taking a look into my third winter 2019-2020 forecast. Now, disclaimer, this will likely change, and you'll probably expect a couple more of these as we get closer to winter. Expect the last one to pretty much be in this December. So what we're going to be taking a look into this winter forecast is my forecast, of course. We'll also take a look into the old/new Farmer's Almanac forecast, the same thing for AccuWeather. I forgot to show you guys the Farmer's Almanac forecast on the last video, but I did not. But AccuWeather has uploaded theirs. Now, we'll also look into some models. We'll also look into the Enzo. And there is some winter history from winter 1939 and 40 there. And I do not have any pictures or anything like that. I just got news from a chief meteorologist here in Kentucky talking about that winter. So, let's go ahead and get started with my forecast here. As you can see here, there has been changes here. Keep in mind your legend is going to be right over here on the left here. So let's go and start with the south here. You can take a look. The south is looking to be a little bit warmer than average now. Looking to a few things. Right now, it seems like this winter is looking to be a difficult winter now because of the model guidance. And it's not really matching up well what the Enzo's looking like. So that's what's making this here a lot of changes with it. You can also note that the northwest is now in slight below average temperatures. That extends it to the northeast. You got well below average temperatures across parts of the Great Lakes in the upper Midwest. And a very similar situation with the below average temperatures. And with no color, that is average in there. Here's my precipitation forecast here. As you can see here, we got two areas of above average precipitation. Got one up in the northwest, got another area from the mid-Atlantic Tennessee Valley into the east coast of the northeast. We also got a slightly above average for a good chunk of the country from parts of the north into the southeast, up into the northeast. And we also do have a well above average area for parts of the Tennessee and Ohio valleys there across parts of Kentucky, Tennessee. We'll zoom on in real quick. It's hard to see far out. It also does include parts of West Virginia, and even the North Carolina area. If we move on into parts of the desert Southwest looking to be below average for the most part, while slightly below average is surrounding that. And here's the overall view again. And this is the precipitation forecast, by the way. And the last one was the temperatures. Now let's move on to the snowfall forecast here. Let's go and start with the desert Southwest here. We've got pretty much the desert Southwest. We'll see below average snowfall, and that's including the surrounding areas of that. You can see from the northwest for the plains into the northeast, should see slightly above average, while in this blue here is above average, and this purple area here is a well above average area there. That's where we can see most low pressure systems to go by just south of the blue and purple area. That's where we can see where the jet stream will be going on for that area. Here's the overall view of the snowfall forecast here. Trying to make this here quick because I got a lot of stuff to talk about. Here's the overall forecast here. Now, the legend's not going to be on the left side this time, but you can see it's been named on top of the colors. You can see the changes here from the last one here. If you take a look on the last one on my channel, you can see the northwest is now chilly and wet, while south of that going to Oregon into Colorado and Kansas. That's a flip-flop pattern where there's been probably a fight between the cold and warm air. So you'll probably see a few of those events in that green, light green area. When we get down here, like this brown and orange type of color, that is warm and dry. This white area here is average, pretty much, for the winter. This yellow here is now warm and wet, where we start to see some model guidance, taking the trough a little bit further north, so that kind of leaves the parts of the south a little bit warmer than average. You can see in this dark green that's stormy. The pink area is winter battle zone. Basically what that means is basically between cold and snowy, and or either warm and dry or warm and wet, basically. This blue here is clipper systems. That's basically Alberta clippers, what people in meteorology is called. That's where you have weak low pressure systems that bring in some light snow that could probably bring snowfall amounts up to 1 to 3 inches. This dark purple here, that is very cold. That's probably where we see most of that cold air stay in place. That's also we'll see some average lake effect snow. This cyan type of color here, that's cold and snowy. That's a very small area. This red here is coastal storms. That's where we see low pressure systems. Kind of go with that red there, potentially. But we can also see some go out as a nor'easter. In the black here, that is the jackpot. Basically what that means, that's where you can see the best of the winter, or some people call it the worst of the winter. That's where you see some very chilly temperatures and very snowy conditions for the average of the winter there throughout the most. And here's the overall look again. The Clippers is under the very cold. Keep in mind the Clippers is in the dark blue there. So that's what the forecast here. We'll be switching over to some other forecasts and models. So if you don't care about stuff, you can leave the video. So if you all did like this video, you can hit that like button. If you really do like my channel, hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell notification so you never miss an upload. If you all guys got any questions about this, you can put it in the comment section down below. I'll answer you guys' questions. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on. Oh yeah, by the way, I'd like to appreciate the secondary winter forecast. I got a good amount of views, 1.3 thousand at this time, and a decent amount of likes. So I really do appreciate with the support on that video. Let's hope that we can do that again on this video right here and many more. That's something big for our channel, and also had a big jump on subscribers. Pretty much about 30 to 40 I've gained from that video. So with that said, let's move on to some other forecasts. I'll have my opinions on this here. So this is what the old Farmer's Almanac is predicting. Now, I don't like the terms here. For example here, icky, I honestly do not know what that means. Icky, I'm going to guess what that prediction is. Basically a winter battle zone for those states. Their parade of snowstorms, that's kind of where we could see a zonal flow from the old Farmer's Almanac there. This is what I don't understand. This wintry area here, it's just so out of place here, wintry here. And it's just basically surrounded with mild with soakers and wet and wild. I don't know what the wild doesn't understand. Overall, I kind of disagree with the old Farmer's Almanac. Same thing for the West. It's just, I disagree. I do agree parts of the Northwest there. I don't agree with the Southwest. I do agree around Florida and Texas. I think they will have some decent weather. If you live in the South, you probably will like warm conditions like Florida for that meaning. A parade of snowstorms, I mean, that could happen with zonal flow. But what I think will happen is the jet stream to kind of go down like this here. So overall, I do agree with some. I do not agree with this forecast here with the old Farmer's Almanac. Let's move on to the new Farmer's Almanac. I agree with this more than the old one. As we can see here, with the Northwest looking chilly and normal precipitation there. I do agree with that. The southwest there, however, cool, normal precipitation. I think it'll be drier and warmer down there, as you all seen from my forecast. Frigid and snowy, I do agree with that, with most of the points in the north there. Chilled average precipitation, I do kind of agree with that, with around the Texas area. Frozen and snowy here. This is what their prediction is, probably for the snowiest area. That's parts of the Great Lakes in the Tennessee, Ohio valleys. That's their prediction of the snowiest area for the winter. You can see the Northeast is a little different. Cold and wintry mix. Frosty, wet, and white here for parts of the Mid-Atlantic there. That's where also could be an area where they can see most of the snow. So basically, their prediction is for the snowiest area is more than likely going to be the Great Lakes, the Ohio, Tennessee valleys, and the Mid-Atlantic there, which I do agree with that there. The Southeast, I do agree, brisk and wet. So overall, I do agree with her forecast here. I did agree with the last one, but everyone was wrong. That was a pretty difficult winter to predict, I'll be honest with you. Let's move on to the AQ weather's forecast here. Now, I like their forecast better than the Weather Channel's forecast because I think they're a little more accurate with their forecasts and stuff like that. I do agree most of their forecasts. This one here, I'm not 100% sure with it. I mean, I kind of get what could happen across parts of the West. I mean, we've seen a potential positive PDO, which makes the West a little bit warmer. But I do get it with there. But in this yellow here, they got changeable here, which I think that's kind of like a flip-flop pattern going on there. That's my kind of thinking what they meant there. Mid-winter Arctic cold, I highly agree with that area there. Wet, I do agree. I don't understand with the stormy, though. I think that's where their prediction is, where you can see most of the stormy weather up there. I'll say snow will happen in these areas in the red and potentially for the northern parts of the green of the wet there. And around 40 mile, I do agree. Overall, it's kind of a 50-50 on this one here, in my opinion. I do agree with some, I disagree with some, basically. So 50-50. So that's the AQ weathers of the Farmer's Almanac's forecast there. Let's move on into models here. So let's first look into the Jamstack model, probably the most accurate one out there at this point in time. You can see sea surface temperatures anomalies, positive PDO, which creates the west to be warm. You also got a negative NAO, which brings cold across the east. You can see around the Great Lakes there, warmer than average temperatures. There, you can see a little bit warmer than average across the Atlantic here, which does create storms to be stormy or cold and snowy for these areas here. Across parts of the United States. In the east, I meant to say there. Here's the precipitation here. You can see I do agree with some areas, I disagree with some. But you can see here, pretty much his prediction is slightly above average precipitation across most of the United States except for the southeast. There. Surface area temperatures. So you can see below average temperatures for across parts of the central and eastern United States, while the west looks to be a little bit warm. I do agree with that. And that's pretty much it from the Jamstack here. Let's look into the CFS model here. This is his overall look. Warmer than average for pretty much everybody. Now, do not follow the CFS. It has a warm bias with this model, and I think it's the Climate Prediction Center or NOAA, one of those. They always follow one model, and this is the CFS, and it's always warmer, and the CFS is not really that accurate at all. with this. But we can also look into precipitation with this here. I mean, I do agree with it for the most part, except for these areas here. But everywhere else, I do agree with, though. Let's move on to the Kansas wall for its precipitation. Now, it's been showing like this for the past few runs. That means a few months. It's been showing this type of thing here. And I disagree with this all the way around from the Kansas model there. Let's look into the tetra anomalies here. What I can tell is there's a negative NAO, basically a weak positive PDO here, and kind of a neutral AO up here, which that basically predicts potentially a trough in the east. In the west, looks like could be a little bit warmer than normal for those areas there. But that's it from the models. Let's move on to the ENSO here. This is what I was talking about. It's actually NOAA. And they're following CFS. You can see it's warm. The precipitation there, this is for the next 3 months. That's nothing about the winter. But if we go up here, this is a CFS version 2. This is what predicts for the ENSO 3.4 region. You can see it's showing neutral conditions here. And here's winter right here. You can see it's looking to be more of a neutral type of winter. This is what the models predict for the ENSO region. Looks like to be pretty much a neutral winter overall there, so there's a good agreement with that. This is what the CPC is predicting here. They're predicting pretty much about a 60% chance of neutral conditions. And I do agree with that. I'm trying to make this go by quick. Going up. There's a lot of stuff in here. And when you get wind going on, that makes the water cool down, by the way. You can see in the ENSO region, we do have some wind going on. This is below the surface. This is back September 30th. As you can see here, we actually do have warming below the subsurface temperature, below the waters here. Keep in mind, this is going up, so if the winds are still staying strong, we can probably see this here start to dissipate a little bit. You can see cooler than average waters is going into the 1+2 region here, which I'll show you guys that. Here we go. This is what I'm talking about, 1+2 here in Nino 3 here. You can see some cooler than average waters. In Nino 4 and 3.4, can see a little bit warmer. You can see Nino 4 is starting to die down a little bit. Nino 3.4 is kind of neutral. Nino 3 is going up a little bit. Nino 1+2 is staying pretty cool there. And you can see here their prediction is continuing through spring of 2020, it's a 55 to 60% chance of neutral conditions. And fall 2019 is greater than a 75 or around there. But here's a better look at the current waters going on right now. Focus this region in here. This is the ENSO region. You got cooler than average waters here. A little bit neutral here. But overall, this is still neutral conditions at this time here. But we also do see here is a positive PDO going on here, which should create a ridge across the west. And we also starting to see a negative NAO. So this is starting to set up of a trough in the east. And that's where we are starting to see is active cold fronts come through the United States right now. And since that's going on, this is starting to set up towards the end of October, a colder and snowier fall for some of these areas here, and even here as well at this point here. So it's starting to look like an active pattern at this time. But here's what a neutral winter pattern looks like. So you got your jet stream here, your polar jet stream here, Pacific jet stream here, which makes it kind of wetter here, but it doesn't really show that. You also got a subtropical jet stream coming in. And this area in here, in particular, is the cold and snowy area, or I should say the snowiest area. And that's really what's been matching up with my forecast here. There, and you can see here the warm across parts of the south here. And that's what my forecast is starting to pop up with. And my forecast currently with the jet stream is basically something like this here. It's just this area here is going to be kind of questionable at this time, and same thing for the parts of the south here as well. Good agreement with these areas here. But it's just these areas here that I've circled. It's going to be a little bit questioning. So yeah, that's all I got for you guys today. Hopefully you enjoyed this winter 2019-2020 forecast. If y'all did like this video, hit that like button. If you really do like my channel, hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell notification there for missing an upload. If y'all guys got any questions about this, you can put in the comment section down below. I'll answer you guys' questions. I'll see you guys in the next video.